In today's show, we're going to talk about PowerApps Combobox example. So one of the controls I get asked about the most is the combo box, because on the surface it just looks like a drop-down control that does a lot of better, cooler, easier things like search and lookups and show multiple fields. But underneath the covers, when you start to configure it, you find out there's a lot of moving parts and it's a little more difficult. So today's show, we're going to walk you through all those moving parts around the different selected items versus a selected item, and multi-values and data sources, all those fun things that you guys have been asking about. But first, here's our intro. Hi, my name is Shane Young with PowerApps 911, those guys. And today's show, we're going to dive into the PowerApps Combo Box. So when it comes to a combo box, right, there's a lot of things that go on with it, and it has a lot of really cool capabilities. But as that terrible movie quote is used all the time, right? With great power comes great responsibility. We're going to also have to kind of deal with some of that. So this has been one of the ones I've gotten the most comments and tweets and things like that about. So I thought we'd just dive in and talk about things like the search fields, the filters, the default values, how to get data out of there, how to get data in there, right? There's a lot of these little things that I just want to kind of go through. In this particular video, we're going to focus on the control. And so we're going to use probably a SQL data source. We'll use Office 365 as well, talk about maybe a little bit of a people picker action, what that looks like. And then the idea is I'm going to take this video and hopefully build on it and follow up with a part 2 that'll be focused around using the combo box with just SharePoint, because it has a whole different set of nuances to it. But either way, you need this video to kind of get you moving in the right direction. Okay. That's enough setting the stage. I got all the Christmas stuff, right? We want to get this video done before Christmas comes. So let's just jump right in and take a look. Okay, and so over here on my desktop, I have a quick example, because one of the things I realize you guys enjoy is if I give you an example of how a control or something like this works before we actually go and build it. So I made this quick one. And so right here on the left, I've got a combo box. And this one, if you hit the drop down, right, you can see that we've got some different data in there. So a bike store. And what it is, over here on the right, I've added a control. It is a drop down that has the same exact data. But one of the neat things here is I could search. So we can type in store. And so then now we're going to only see the results that have store. Now, notice it does take a little bit, takes a few seconds. So remember, right, keep in mind that this tool will help you with larger data sets. So if you're like, I have 2,000 things in my dropdown, which comes up way more than I expect. This works, this will help, but the challenge becomes, do your users really want to wait 4 seconds after they hit search there? So, but now you can see I've got some different ones. I can select them. So there you go. I've pulled a couple back. So a bike store, central discount. And underneath here, this is just a label I threw on here to show you how to get the data out, right? So we're going to talk about how to pull out. So even though I chose a bike store, I only pulled out the salesman's ID, because that comes up a lot as well as we start to build more relational models. And even if we're using SharePoint as a data source, people are starting to understand that, man, the real power is connecting multiple data sources. And so we have to understand things like the user wants to type in this or search for it by company name, but to feed the downstream data, I need to pull an ID column out or a salesperson column or something like that, right? Whereas the drop down over here on the right, it's just your plain old drop down, same data, but we've got associated bikes, and it just shows us that one person. Also, right, we can get rid of these things. And notice I messed up here. I'm showing you the same field twice, but you can even show 2 fields at the same time within here. So a lot of fun that we're going to go and kind of configure with combo boxes. Now, I will give you the caveat that when we're going to deep dive into these, I don't use them a lot because there's so many moving parts. Most of the time, I try and make my data sets really small, so my users are choosing out of 5 or 7 items, and drop downs work just great. But you might your mileage might vary. So, all right. So let's close out of this. Boop. And instead of trying to reverse engineer what I did here, let's just create ourselves a new screen. And we'll start with a nice blank canvas to help you guys. And I guess step 1 will be is insert a dropdown, or not a dropdown, a combo box. So when you add a combo box, you will notice that it defaults to the combo box sample. We don't need that data. But if we hit the drop down here, you can see all the data sources I've already added to my app. And so for this example, we're going to start with a SQL table that I added. For no reason, right? This is not anything SQL specific. Just SQL was where I wanted to demo this from today. Okay, so that's my data source. So then it's going to say, all right, what type of layout do you want? So there's single, there's double, right, which is going to show us 2 pieces of data. And then there's a person one, And really what the person one is, it's going to do the two fields plus an image. So we'll probably look at that here in a minute, but a little bit different. Okay, so let's start with a double though. I think that one's the most commonly used. So we do a double. So primary name, we'll do company name, and secondary text, we will do our salesperson. And then the search field. So this is saying, all right, what field, if a user starts typing, do you want to search in? So right now we're going to take the default and just be like company name. Okay, so that looks great. Let's hit play. We'll hit play. And so now if I hit the drop down here, you can see that I see the company name and the salesperson. And if we do, let's search for cycle. We wait a couple of seconds, right? Because I think that one has almost 1,000 records in it. So then there are all of the company names that have cycle in there. And then we can choose, all right, we want Jillian and Jose's, boom. Okay, so then now we've got 2 items selected in the combo box. Got it? Good. So one of the things you might say is, well, what if you only want them to select one item? That's a fair question. So one of the settings that we need to talk about for a second is first you got to click on the combo box. There is a button down here for select multiple, not a button, a property. And so select multiple is set to true by default. If I set this to false, then what will happen is it'll only let you select one item. So if you truly wanted it to be more like a drop down where they only could choose one of the options in there, then select multiple is going to be set to false, okay? But that's no fun for our demo, so we'll set this back to true. Boom. All right, so then now let's talk about how to get data out of there for a second. So if I throw a label on the screen, because this is how I figure these things out, right? If you're ever like, man, how does Shane learn all this stuff? I just throw labels on the screen. When I'm troubleshooting customer apps, all the time, people are every day, literally, you know, I get calls, emails, hey, can you help me do my app? And so we get on screen shares. 9 times out of 10, the first step in solving their problems, I throw labels on the screen to figure out what the data really is versus what they thought it was. So anyway, we got a label. We can see that our combo box is combo box 5. Very nice name. Thank you very much. So we'll do combo box 5 and then dot. And so then up here, we've got selected items, okay? And so selected items is this idea that you can select one or more records, so you need to deal with it. Now the weird thing though is selected items is a record set, right? Think about a dropdown. We do selected with a dropdown. That's just one single item, so we can add that to a text field and things like that. Here, if we do selected items, we're going to do this. And so then now we can say, all right, I want to see the email address. And it's like, oh, that's bad. Why? Hover over it. It's going to tell us this property expects text values, but this rule produces incompatible table values. I'll tell you what I usually do when I first see this. Grab this data, control copy, and then we will say, we're going to throw a drop down on the field on the screen. And the reason I throw a drop down on the screen is because this makes it a little bit easier for me to see what data is in there. So you can see I am truly getting an email address. And more importantly, if we go over here and we choose another one of these and another one of these, if we go to our drop down, whoop, we've got 3 things in there because we've got 3 items selected. Right? Someone asked me about that earlier today on Twitter. Like, how do I make the drop down or the combo box feed a drop down? Well, Lawrence, you can see that there is your answer. But that wasn't really what I was after in doing this. What I wanted you to understand was that this combo box 5 selected email address is a record set. So it's not going to work in a label. But Shane, I need it in a label, right? I need to write it somewhere. I got your back. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a function we've never done before. And that is called concat. So when we do the ampersands, right, we concatenate text, right? So that's the concatenate function. So when we combine 2 pieces of text to make, first space, last name in one label, that's concatenate. Very similarly named is concat. And what concat does is that takes a table, in this case, combo 5 dot selected, and then what it does, it says, I want to grab all the email address fields out of that table of data. And then we're going to do a little comma here, and we're going to say we want to separate those by a comma and a space, just like that. So combo 5, boom, 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 that looks right. We'll put a parenthesis there. And so then now we could use that data in a label. So concat, your record set, right? And concat can be used with any table. We're using it for the first time ever with a combo box, but this is one of those ones you want to put in your tool belt for later. This is how we combine the text. But you can see, so there's Janet, and then it's a comma and a space. Here, let's make this a little bigger, right? A comma and a space, and then Orlando, and then Keith. So this was how we were able to work our way through and get that data back if you wanted to use it as text. Also keep in mind that, remember over here we're showing, hold down the Alt key. Over here, we're showing company name and employee, but here we're showing email, right? So we have all of this address, all this information. And we could even make it a little fancier, right? We could say, now I'm getting off script, so I'm gonna probably mess up, but I think we've got salesperson. We do, so salesperson and, right? And is our concat, like this and like this. I'm nervous, but I think that might be right. Look at that. So then now we have AdventureWorks space Janet at AdventureWorks, comma. So now we've created a complex set of data back, even though the user just chose over here the company name, or well, the company name and Pamela, but whatever. We were able to pull that back. So I wanted to kind of expose you guys that. I think that's one of the trickier things about combo boxes for the first time you encounter it, is getting data out. So just remember that combo boxes selected items is choosing, or is creating a record set, so we need to use that concat function. But the nice thing about it, the fact that it gives us a record set, is it lets us manipulate the data the way we want. Right? We have all those columns available to us. Okay? So another thing that I wanted to talk about is, so right now the search, so let's hit play. Let's go up here, get rid of all these. Go away, go away, go away. So right now, if I search for Pamela, I'm not going to get anything, right? Especially if I don't spell her name right. All right, because it's only searching the company name. And when we go over here to this control, right, this little slide out only gives us the ability to search a field. That's all right. We're pros. We're going to go digging a little deeper. Let's go over here to the property panel. X out of this. And so in here, let's talk about a couple things first. So first, if you look here, here are the items. All right, so that's controlling what items I do, right? So in a minute, we're going to talk about how to go a little deeper there, but that's pretty normal. Items, we're used to that. Up here, we have display fields. So this is the syntax that controls what display fields come back. So company name and salesperson. I'm going to copy this because if we go over here to search fields, oh, that's a very similar syntax. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste in the same exact thing. So I now wanted to do searches for company name or salesperson. So now let's hit play. And now, oh, look at that. All the data is already filtered for us, so it's only showing us Pamela's records. So all right, we'll twist a little effort there, and we were able to add different ones. Also keep in mind that I showed you using the normal ones here, but what if we wanted to do the email address, right? Let's see if I can remember what it is. It's not email. Let's do, it's email address. I'll just copy it from right here. Copy, right? Because it's rudely not telling me, auto-suggesting what fields I could use. So now email address. And so what we should be able to do is, if I can remember, and I think Pamela0 is an email address. It's searching, it's thinking about it. Let's select one. All right, so here's an email address. Whoop, grab an email address. Let's go put that in here. So get rid of a bike store, just like that. And then we should see everything filter down. So there you go. There are the two products, or the two customers where the email address is Orlando0. So pretty cool, right? Because now we're searching on a different field than the one we're showing. Probably the last question I would have if I was in your shoes, I'd be like, well, what if I want to have a third field, Shane? That's a fair question. I think it's salesperson like this. So it didn't yell at me. So what if we get rid of that search? So that'll give us all the items back. And let's search for Pamela again. Boom. So there you go. We can even search, so we can search fields that aren't shown. We can search more than the two, right? Or more importantly, we search more than the one that it gave us. So a lot of different items of functionality there. All right, so let's select one. All right, so another thing I wanted to talk about. So here we talked about getting the data out via selected items. In some instances where you're only using it for a single record, you could do our friend Combobox. Oh, that's not how you spell Combobox 5. Dot. And so if you start to type there, select, they kind of hide it from us. And then we'll say dot selected dot first name, and that's Orlando. So we can still use that particular nomenclature. And if they select a second record, all right, it looks like it's just the last one in there. So kind of keep that in mind. Whoop, let's go back to here. So I don't know. Typically what I would tell you is if you want, you kind of either have to decide. I would only want you to use selected items here if you were going to do multi-value or multi-select, right? Remember our little multi option over here? Joop. Where is it? Select multiple. So select multiple is true. You're probably using selected items. If select multiple is false, then you can just use selected. So, okay. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit how to get the data out. Another thing that people kind of bring up a little bit here. So let's go over here and let's select Pamela again, or select one of these records so I can steal some data. So I'm going to grab Pamela's username. So, or the salesperson name. Anyway, what you might want to do though is you might say, you know what? All right, Shane, that was great, but now I want to filter, right? So Keith asked me, hey, asked me to remind you guys about how to filter the data. So if we go in here and we say, no problem, I can just use a filter. So I can just say filter, or that, and we'll say salesperson equals, we'll paste in Pamela's name. Boom, just like that. So then now our fanciful little drop down only shows the ones where it's Pamela. Now notice that it reset. This is one of the things that makes me go about combo boxes, is when we change the data source, the items property, it said, hey, I'm going to just make you start over. So it took away all of our fancy settings. It was very rude. So then now we'll say, all right, instead of just company name, show me company name and salesperson again. Sorry, it reset our search criteria. It kind of broke things. This is one of the things that drives people about combo boxes crazy. So just get used to the idea that if you're going to change it on the fly, it's going to reset all your hard work, which is okay because you probably need to do it again to kind of reinforce how you did it the first time, but just put it in the back of the tinker, okay? But now you can see that my data source has all been sorted out. So all the data is just Pamela, where Pamela was the salesperson. So that's how you would filter the data. That comes up a little bit. All right, I'm going to copy this because I'm also going to show another concept. So let's go over here. Let's get rid of all of this. So we're back to just showing the whole list. Shift enter. And so boom. All right, there you go. Okay, so we're all back. Notice that it reset again. It's so rude. So show me. I really want to see the salesperson. I really wish it would just leave the salesperson there. Let's see. Let's make sure that worked. Yes. Okay. So then now the next thing that comes up is, well, what about if you want to set the default? This drove me bonkers the first time I did it because right when we use our friend the drop-down box over here, all you got to do for a default item, right, is you just put in some text of the default item you want and it just figures it out. Yay! That does not work the same over here. So what you're going to want to do for default selected items is you need to pass it records, okay? Right, it wants to know what data. So you have to kind of correlate the data. So whether it's going to be a lookup to some stuff or a filter. And that's why I grabbed this filter. Oh, I messed up this filter. I promise I did this earlier. Right, didn't I cut and paste? Did you guys see me mess up and didn't tell me? All right, so now I am filtering my data. So what happens is if we go in here, all of the records where Pamela is the salesperson have already been selected for me, right? Because, let's back it up, let's do it again. The items property, is all of the customers list, got it. But the default selected items is filter that list where salesperson equals Pamela. So just keep that in mind. Remember, combo box, records. So I couldn't just type in this, right? I've tried that. I'm like, all right, let me just grab this piece of data here. Let's just try it. Just break it. Control copy. I'm like, all right, well, I want the default selected to be Pamela. It's like, huh? It doesn't even have a clue what I mean. So you have to work through and make sure that when you're connecting the combo box up to your data, that you're passing in records. And so filter or lookup are going to be one of the two options that you're using in default selected items. I mean, if you got real fancy, you could probably pass it a comma list, but let's just not be fancy. Let's just look it up. Got it? Okay. I think that's a lot of what I wanted to cover. So I think the other things, though, we want to talk about real quick is someone asked, well, what if I want this to be a people picker? All right, that's fair. Control combo box, throw it down here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I don't even have the data source. All right, we'll add the data source. Or no, I do have the data source. Let's see, view data sources. Yes, all right, so I added the Office 365 users data source, okay? So what we can do over here is we can go over here and say, all right, I want for you to be Office 365, right? I don't have to use the wizard. It's not letting me do what I want. I'm not going to use it. And I'm going to say Office 365 users, search user. And then I can do, what you might want to do is only the top and so many, right? You maybe don't want to search all of them quite off the bat. But what I'm going to do for the moment is just close this to kind of show you the first iteration. All right, so then now if I hit this drop down, it's showing data that it shouldn't be. Let's see. Or well, it's showing a bunch of blank data because it's confused. Right, the city field is empty. That's why you're not seeing it. Let's do their display name. And then the search field should also be the display name. So, all right, and when I hit this drop down, I'm going to gray out a couple of these because some of these people haven't consented to their stuff being shown. So, but if I hit the drop down, so you can see here it's showing me a list of all the users from my Office 365 directory. And then if I type in like Young, then it's showing me all the people with the last name of Young. So giving you the ability to go in and let people choose. And so then over here, let's just choose me. And then we'll X out, right? And so then what we could do is, because you probably didn't want that, you probably wanted something like, maybe you want my email address, right? That's a very common piece of information you would need. So then what would this be? It'd be combo box 6, right? And we've already done this, but we're going to just reinforce it. And then we're going to do selected. And then we could do, right, if we just had the one, then we could definitely do, not mail, nickname, mail. There we go. So there's my email address. But remember, that's only going to show the one. So what you probably more correctly want to do was to do the old concat, combo box selected, combo box selected, and then comma, mail. Oh, and it's not selected though, it's selected items. And so that'll pull it out even in the case where it's just the one item. But more importantly, is if we go back over here and we choose 2 records, right? Then now we're able to pull it out, and then we can do the formatting and all that fun stuff. So that's, kind of getting started with the people stuff. If you use a person list or person field over in SharePoint, that's a little bit different. So we're going to save that one for the SharePoint one. And then just as a quick bonus, because the team released this stuff and I haven't covered it yet, also remember that if people search is kind of one of those things that's driving you, right? Hit new screen. Remember, there is a people search screen template they've given us now. So hit new, add that screen. And so if I do a search here, let's hit play. My name is Shane. So there you go. So I want to select that particular user. It's already including the stuff. So there's Chewy. And so we're able to go through and select that way. The reason I show that to you is because I want you to, if that's one of the reasons you're looking at combo boxes, I think these guys did a neat job here. Now, while you might not take this screen and use it because it doesn't fit the flow of your app, what you can do is come in and reverse engineer the way they did this. They actually did a bunch of different, so there's a couple of different galleries over here. So they didn't use a combo box at all, but it's a different way to look at kind of the same problem. I know people search is one of the things that drives the combo box. All right. So I think that was all the fun things that I wanted to talk about. I'm certain I will come up with more, but there'll be a follow-on video just for SharePoint specific stuff. Also, if you have questions, right, I get about 10 a day, literally every single day. I get somewhere between 10 and 15 between comments and Twitters and emails. So leave comments below with your questions. That's what drives these type of videos and things like that. So also, if you're still kind of a little raw with Power Apps, remember, make sure you check out PowerApps 911. We can work together. We've also got a training class now. I'm teaching it all Monday through Thursday this week. I'm really excited for it, so it should be fun. But I think that's enough for today. So thanks and have a great day. Hey, it's me again. If you got a second, click the subscribe button. That always keeps me making more videos. Or if you want to work together, need some help getting your Power Apps going, hit me up at PowerApps 911. Always happy to work together. Or finally, if you're really just looking for more videos, that's probably what it is. Check out the Power Apps playlist over here and enjoy that. All right, thanks and have a great day.